Okay, just a few words on this incident with Danny Baker, the comedian on Radio 5 Live. Um, this has been quite well documented now, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically a comedian on Radio 5 Live. I don't know the guy, so I really can't tell you anything about him, but he tweeted a photograph showing old, I guess it's 1930s or 1920s couple accompanying a chimp from a hospital, and his caption was "royal couple leaving with new baby" or something like that. So he was making a connection with this birth of baby Sussex, who we now know as Archie Mountbatten Windsor, I believe is his full name, with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Okay, this is my take on it. He says that there was no racist intent. Well, I can't judge the man. I don't know him. I can't read his mind. I don't know what his intent was. However, I do think for someone in some sphere of public life to not make a connection is at best very naive. So people rushing to defend him. By the way, just for the record, I think firing him was too excessive. I think that's too harsh. To cost someone their livelihood because of that, I think it's too harsh. However, people defending this and trying to say that there is no racial connotation are being either just deliberately erroneous, they're not recognizing the obvious connotations there, or they're being very naive. There is a history of connecting black and mixed race people with primates, not other animals, specifically a primate, and that's what this photo was showing. Now, the context here, obviously, is that the royal baby is mixed race. Harry's white, Meghan Markle is mixed race, and her mother is African American. So, at best, I think it was incredibly naive. Having said that, there is a little bit of a pitchfork reaction, and I think firing him was a bit excessive. And when it comes to things like this, there's enormous double standards. Because there's certain comedians are far, far worse. I mean, I've been very vocal about Frankie Boyle. I'm not saying he's necessarily racist, but some of the things that Frankie Boyle comes out with are plain disgusting. And yet he's kind of a mainstream comedy figure, or if not mainstream, I mean, I suppose you could say, okay, well, this guy works for the BBC and they have a particular code of conduct. Now, he would have known that. I find it a little bit hard stretched to say, oh, it was just a naive mistake. I mean, if it really was, then, it was an incredible lack of judgment. Is it a mountain out of a molehill? A bit, yeah. There's more important things going on, but there has been racist abuse of Meghan Markle. There has. I don't think that was necessarily this guy's intention, but at best it was crass. I mean, it's not rocket science. Just don't make analogies with black or mixed race people and chimps. It's just common sense. People will say, "Oh, if they were all white, there wouldn't be a furore." But the point is, there is context there, and I'm as much against political correctness as the next person. But on this occasion, I think people are being naive I think they're being short-sighted by rushing to defend him. By the same token, I think firing him was excessive. I think his apology was right. I think that should have sufficed. Now, if he was taking an attitude of, oh, it was completely harmless, that would be different. But he did show humility. He did admit that it was wrong. And I think the matter should have been left there. So it's kind of, I think the BBC's went too far firing him. And I think that's excessive. But I also think people saying it's completely harmless, they're being pretty ignorant about the historic context there. And there is blatantly a historic context. Why not other animals? Why not a stork or something? If where there's a primate, there's, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see why there is a negative connotation there. But some will say that it's a case of politically correct authoritarianism by firing him. I think firing him's too excessive. I think the apology should have sufficed. That is a contention I would make. Firing him is definitely excessive.